Go. No, wait a minute, Airman, stop. Stop, Airman. Make a film. Start dancing. Go over there. Come out, all fresh and stuff. Now start doing your dance.
Sammy, say, introducing Army Eskimo.
Introducing the Rockin' Brothers, Army Eskimo and Samuel Eskimo.
Come on, Mama.
Some MS. Okay, let's go.
Susie, doors open at 8 a.m. and the memorial service for Nipsey Hussle will begin promptly at 10 a.m. here at Staples Center. The names of the participants and speakers have not been released yet, but we do know all 21,000 seats inside Staples will be filled.
It was dark clouds on us, but that was perfect for us.
On Thursday morning, Nipsey Hussle will headline at Staples Center, something he never got to do in life. But family, friends, and fans will hold a celebration of life service to remember his legacy. From his recent Grammy nomination to the work he was doing in his hometown of South LA to inspire and bring about change. Those who don't have tickets can show their respect along the route of a 22-mile procession after the memorial. It'll begin near USC, travel south on Vermont, go eastbound on Century, and drive past Hussle's boyhood home on Wilmington. The procession will continue on Century, up La Brea, eventually go past his Marathon store at Slauson and Crenshaw, and then end at the Angelus Funeral Home. According to TMZ, Nipsey Hussle's family held a private viewing there today where security was very tight. And security will be tight for Thursday's events. The LAPD tells us the Nation of Islam and Staples will provide the primary security at the service. The Nation of Islam will also be responsible for the procession route, and LADOT will help control traffic. People we spoke with told us Hussle is deserving of this honor. Meanwhile, today, new information emerged about what happened during this chaotic scene that injured several people after a vigil for Hussle last week. Initially, LAPD Chief Michael Moore said they did not have any reports of gunfire being heard after he was asked about reports that 2 women had been shot that night. But according to a search warrant affidavit that was filed last Friday, there was a shooting that night. 2 women were shot and they drove themselves to the hospital. I spoke with one of those women off camera tonight. I asked her why she and her friend didn't go to the ambulances that were on scene. She told me there were too many people and they weren't able to get into one. So she says a friend drove them to the hospital.
Back to the memorial tomorrow. Out of respect for the family, cameras and recording devices will not be allowed inside. If you don't have a ticket, authorities are asking you to stay away from Staples and the area. You won't be allowed inside. You won't be allowed to gather outside. The memorial will not be shown on monitors.
And mourners have been showing up all morning to pay their respects to Nipsey Hussle. Check it out. You can see several people here in the parking lot just out in front of his store. Lots of candles and flowers and balloons are still on the ground there. Now, this location will be part of a pretty large procession after his funeral this morning. Let's get you to a map of the route. It's more than 20 miles long through South LA, Watts, and Inglewood. It starts near USC, and along the way, Hussle's casket will be driven by his childhood home on Wilmington Avenue, then his Marathon clothing store here at Crenshaw and Slauson. The procession ends at the Angelus Funeral Home. Well, thousands of people are expected to line the streets, and police will be present because of recent violence at a vigil for him. That happened the day after Hussle was gunned down at his business. Well, chaos erupted and several people got hurt. The LAPD now confirms 2 women were in fact shot at the gathering after initially saying that no shooting occurred. Officers did receive conflicting information from witnesses about whether or not shots were fired. Until those 2 women who were shot reported what happened, they are expected to be okay. Dozens of others were injured. They suffered minor injuries. Back out here live, that procession is expected to last about an hour and a half, and there will be rolling street closures as Hustle's casket is driven by, so you can expect some street closures and some delays. We're live in Hyde Park this morning. Candace Crone, CBS 2 News.
I had not slept for 2 weeks leading up to this event on Sunday, but the Spirit spoke to me on Sunday morning at 5:30 a.m. and had me ask, "Why is your spirit troubled?" My mother called me and told me that she thought that there was a problem at the shop because Samuel had gotten up and run out of the house without saying a word. When I went there, I had perfect peace. When the police officer told me that the person had been shot was Nipsey Hussle, my spirit said, "Oh, that's it." Okay? I feel as though, when we had our closure conversations, my mother and I are very intuitive. We have a knowing of the coming and the going of death. And so we knew that death was coming to our family. My mother and I, we discussed it many times. So many times that we discussed it in the presence of Khalil. And my mother said that she had been praying that God would take her because she was the last of 9 siblings. Her 4 brothers and her 4 sisters had predeceased her. My father is gone. My brother is gone. My mom said just about all her neighbors have passed on. So she said when she talks to God, she tells him, "I've lived a good life. I'm not afraid of death. So whenever you're ready to take me, I'm ready to go." But that was not God's divine perfect order, you see. He took Ermias. I think of Ermias, and I think that Ermias knew, and we knew too. We knew too. Ermias, he was the kind of person that he was very busy and, had a lot of things going on. And I would text him, and he would answer all of my texts. And I would call him, and he wouldn't answer all of my calls. But all of a sudden, Ermias started texting me, "Hey, Mom, I love you. I'm just sending you some positive energy for your day. I hope that you have a beautiful day." I felt spiritually in my soul as if Ermias was going to leave. And we had closure conversations through text messaging with one another. And I think that Ermias knew too, because Ermias was doing things differently. My mother said that Ermias was going to her house with Imani every morning on the way to drop Imani off at school. And he was bringing Imani a drink. He was bringing my mother a green drink. And then he would tell my mom, "I love you, Granny." And he would give her a kiss, and he would tell her, "If there's anything you need, let me know." And so I'm not really sad because Spirit had already prepared me for that which was coming. I wish that Shell gas station would release the videotape of my interaction with the police officer when I went to the shop and he told me that the person who had been shot was Nipsey Hussle. I was in complete composure and total peace, you see, because I had been walking to my spiritual drumbeat that whole weekend. I made my green drink, I made my vegan meal, I made my herbal tea. And I even sat down with my feet up on the chair across from me, and I was talking to my cousin on the telephone. And then shortly after that, I got off the phone And I went to get dressed and everything. I took my shower, I got dressed, and I was bending down to get the blow dryer and the curling iron out of the bottom cabinet in my bathroom, just like this. I'm standing up. I'm coming in a position of ascension, just as the telephone rang, and it was my mother calling. And when death comes our way, my mother has a certain tone of voice, and it's frightening to me because I know that tone of voice means that death has come. And my mother asked, "Angel, are you busy?" in that tone of voice. For the first time in my life, that tone of voice did not frighten me. And I told her, "Oh no, Mommy, I'm not busy. I'm on my way. I'm just standing up from picking up the blow dryer and the curling iron. I'm on my way to your house." And she says, "Well, something has happened at the shop." You see, I already felt like I was in the right place. I was ascending, okay? I have ascended, okay? You have to find a way to ascend also. And I'm just glad that the legacy of love that my mother started and that she passed on to me, that I passed on to my son, and since he was in the public arena, that he passed some of the love in his heart into the love that's in your hearts. So let's water the seeds of love that Ermias displayed to you, that you know that you have planted in your heart. Let's water that love and let it grow. And what I was going to say, one last thing, and I'll let you go. I did get a little teary-eyed when I laid down about the third night after Ermias had made his transition. And I started to cry because I was thinking about, I could never be in Ermias's electromagnetic ray field. He had an aura around him that if you sat with him, it gave you power and energy. It like filled up your spiritual tank. So that when I left and went to work and whatever, I was in the world for the next week, he had left something with me. And so I'm sad. I was sad that I wouldn't have that anymore. And then I thought about, my son knows the secret to the mystery of life. So when I think of death from the perspective of Ermias, it doesn't hurt, you see, because the ego is what hurts us. So when we can get me, I, my, and mine out of our thinking and think about, what is the other person feeling? What is the other person thinking? What is the other person experiencing? What is the situation all about in its fuller spiritual context? Then it makes the pains that we experience as human beings on the road of life that we travel a lot easier to handle.
So, never was I prepared for anything like this, so bear with me, y'all. I know everyone is hurting, but I'd like to say something to my city, Los Angeles. Y'all from LA, stand up. Because this pain is really ours, you know? We know what it meant to us. We lost an incredible soul. We lost someone very rare to us, and we lost a real one. And we won't ever be the same. But in Hustle's words, because he used to always say this, the game is going to test you, never fold. Stay 10 toes down. It's not on you, it's in you. And what's in you, they can't take away. And he's in all of us. And to Ermias, the love of my life, you know what it is. Grief is the final act of love. My heart hears you. I feel you everywhere. I'm so grateful that I had you. I love you beyond this earth. And until we meet again, the marathon continues.
Man, everybody here already knows Nip, man, and through the music, personally, you know, I swear to God, everything he said in the music was who he was, and it's not too much I can tell you about him, and I just hope that he knows we all proud of him, and I mean, we all know the music. If I die today, I know the set proud, nigga. And that's how Nip thought, you know. He loved everybody, and he loved who he grew up with, where he grew up, and just wanted to inspire and always bring something back and make, you know, it wasn't about how some people think handouts and giving. You know, when we was growing up, we just admired the people in the community that was hustling and had, because we grew up kind of had not, so they didn't have to give us anything. They inspired and showed us a way, and we molded ourselves after the positive people that wasn't on drugs, that wasn't alcoholics, the hustlers basically. And so they didn't have to really even say anything to us. They demonstrated with action. And you know, Nip, that's what Nip was about. Nip was about demonstrating and coming back that people could walk up, touch, see. And, you know, he appreciated, whether he said it or not, the pats on the back. And it meant a lot to him. Bro, keep doing your thing, man. We appreciate what you're doing. You're making it look good. You know, you putting us on the map. You know, that shit meant a lot to him. And that shit meant a lot to me from everybody who did that. You know, that was my little bro, man. And I just try to do as much as I could to lead a good example and make sure that he was good, you know. I was talking to him, and we were so heartbroken that Fats wasn't around to see the album come out. So I just couldn't understand how, after all this, bro, go out like this, man. It just really don't make sense. Really don't make sense. And, you know, it changed everything I thought I understood. You know, it got to be something past this, man, for bro to go out like that. But you know, last thing I'm gonna say is, you know, I'm proud of bro. You know, he always looked out and always wanted other people to go. You know, it wasn't just about him getting there. You know, he'd been fly since a young age. You know, it wasn't about that. It was about bringing it back and inspiring and building. And he had so many plans, and he had so many people that he wanted to involve in his plans. And it was getting there, you know. You know, we bought the lot, man, but I don't know how we did it, you know. And that was a big thing for bro, man, because he used to sell CDs out the trunk. You know, he used to be in that parking lot, and they used to try to kick him out of the lot. And y'all know what we went through with the police in that lot. And I don't know if anybody knows, we had got a 30-day notice. And they was kicking us out of all the businesses that we own in the lot. And the owner was like, man, I'm so sorry. The district attorney and the the police, they putting pressure on us. They said we could lose this property if we don't kick you guys out the lot. I remember this used to be a vacant lot, and people used to be scared to rent the lot. You guys came here, you changed it. People are pulling up. Every lot is rented. And at this point, if you guys still are interested in buying a lot, you know, rather than kick you guys out, we're willing to sell it to you. So at this point, man, you know, we was all broke. Nip had money invested everywhere, and we shook hands and said we do want to buy the lot. We didn't know how we was gonna do it, honestly. And Nip went on a scramble. I went on a scramble, tapped in with JP, the whole team, and I honestly don't know how we did it, but we was able to close and get the lot, and Nip was so proud of that and so happy of that accomplishment. You know, I don't drink, man, but I went ahead and took a shot with bro for that, man, you know. That and when the album came out, just even the Victory Lap album coming out, man, Nip said he was gonna do it. And that was so important for his debut album to finally really come out. And, you know, I'm just so happy that the album was able to come out and he was able to do what he said he was gonna do. You know, a lot of people thought coming up and when he first got signed, he was gonna get some money and leave. You know, like he said, they didn't have a fucking clue. You know what I mean? They had no clue of what he really was gonna do. And come on. Yeah, I want everybody to know, man, Nip put his heart and soul on Crenshaw Slauson. And we used to talk, you know, we gotta go. We don't know if we're gonna go at 80, 60, 30, or 20. But the one thing is to make sure when you go the right way. You stand up for what you believe in. You put your money where your mouth is. You never fold. You never let the pressure sway you from doing what you want to do. You never let anything, the politics, stop you from coming around and staying around. And I hope everybody knows that that's what bro did. Bro stayed and he died on Crenshaw and Slauson. And everybody who showed love, even the ones who didn't, Nip had nothing but love and respect and humbleness. And that's what I want to leave, man. I love him. And I hope I didn't leave anything out, man.
To my brother, my protector, my guide, who thought he was my daddy, and it's okay. I just first want to say thank you. Thank you for loving me unconditionally, for never judging me, for having my back always, anytime. I just thank you, man. You built me, you made me the woman I am, man. I'ma hold Sam down. Sam, I love you. I got you forever. You know, it's us now, and it feels crazy. I've never been on this world without Ermias. I came here when he was already here, so it feels crazy to be left without him, but I know he around. I know he here now. He talking to me, and I'm listening, and I'm going to do everything he needs to do. I'm not going to let you down. This world was blessed to have someone so iconic walk and do what you did. You changed the game, and I know without a doubt in my mind, everybody is going to move different because of you. You know, you were 33 when you was taken from this world, and that's not a coincidence. Jesus died at 33. You was our Jesus. You was put down here to wake people up, to inspire people, to talk to them in a way that they could receive it. You know, you was the face of that. You no matter what went on, you didn't fold, you didn't change up. You know, most people fold because they can't weather the storm, and no matter what the storm was, you stood up with your head up and you faced it. And I'm gonna keep my head up and I'm gonna face everything. I'm gonna do everything I need to do in your name. And I love you and I thank you and I appreciate you, and we're gonna keep it going forever. I love you, Ermias.
We're outside the Staples Center. We're actually joined now by Cowboy, a friend of Nipsey's who was inside for the memorial. Thanks for being here, Cowboy. As I understand, you said you were actually there at the Marathon clothing store the night that Nipsey got shot. What can you tell us about that night, and what do you remember?
Just a lot of emotions going on. The whole city's erupted. We all been in tears, mourning Nipsey. Ever since that day, it's just been like an endless dream, you know, a nightmare, you know. But there's a lot of good that's been coming out of it. A lot of peace in the city. The LAPD, they've been there for us. The Muslims, they've been there for us. The city council members that came down. The city, everybody, the whole city, everybody's been supportive.
So, do you mind me asking where exactly you were that night that the shooting happened?
Well, I was talking to Nipsey from the time he got to that parking lot. I was out there talking to him. I had just got my food, and I left to the break room to put my food down for a short minute amount of time, and that's when the guy came up and shot him.
So when you came back, Nipsey was
on the ground, and the guy was breaking up out of there. You know, so I ran straight to Nipsey and held him, make sure he was breathing. He was still breathing. He had a bullet hole right here. I kept my hand in that right there. He had one right here. He was fighting. He fought. You know, you can see he was fighting. He wasn't trying to go nowhere. He was fighting. He fought the whole way up until the ambulance came and got him. He fought. He's a fighter.
And what were you telling him in those moments that you were holding him and making sure he was there?
I was basically just praying, and if his eyes start to roll back a little bit, I say, wake up, and he kind of snapped back out of it. Like he was kind of losing consciousness and coming back. So I say he was fighting. He's just constantly fighting for us. So I just prayed, and I shaking him, and telling him, you know, wake up, stay up. So he was fighting. I work at the Marathon store. I'm there 7 days a week. I work there. I do everything from cleaning up the parking lot to whatever needs to be done.
Were you there when the shooting happened?
Yes, I was.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry. I did not realize.
Exactly.
Did you witness it?
I did not witness the shooting. I just stepped in, eat my lunch. Stepped in with my lunch, and it just happened in a split second while I was gone.
And when the shooting happened, I imagine you heard the gunfire. Did you go outside? What did you?
I ran outside. I ran outside, and I went straight to Nip. So you look at the videotapes, you see me on the tape. So everybody's looking at the shooting. Rewind the tape a little further and see what was going on prior to that. You know what I mean? So.
Were you able to tell him any words before he passed, or is there anything that you did? Or
well, he was still breathing, and he was still alive when he left. When the paramedics came and took him off, he was still alive. So at the time, I just prayed for him and just told him to stay focused. You know, all the stuff they do in the movies. You know, trying to keep him awoke. Yeah.
Thank you. Were you there? To the late rapper Nipsey Hussle. This is a live look outside of Staples Center where that celebration of life took place. It started a bit late due to all the people trying to get into the building. We heard countless tributes, stories, and music to honor Nipsey Hussle, or Ermias Argadom, and he was gunned down outside his store on March 31st. He was just 33 years old, but what an outpouring of love.
And somebody pointed out, the pastor who conducted the eulogy here pointed out that the last time there was a funeral at Staples Center, it was Michael Jackson, obviously arguably one of the greatest entertainers of all time, with so many Grammy Awards, so many albums, and so much music that he produced and released. And the next entertainer to be memorialized at Staples Center was this man, Nipsey Hussle.
Pretty remarkable. He started just handing out CDs and charging $10 for these mixtapes, and he just came out with his first solo album with a major label, released in February of 2018, and here he is, sold out. Actually, the tickets were free, but it did sell out within minutes.
And the procession should begin. I'm not sure if that was the beginning of it there, but there will be a procession through the streets of South Central Los Angeles that will begin at Staples Center and end at Angelus Funeral Home.
First of all, it's your family of origin. Parents, teach your children to love and to respect and to have integrity. And then children, you go out into the world and you live according to the values that you got, the solid values that you got in your home of origin. And tap into your spirituality. My church is Krest, K-R-S-T. They teach African spiritual science, okay? And that's where I get my strength from. And as black people, I want to encourage you to go back to your roots and find your creator and find your power, your spiritual power. And then when the spirits talk to you, when the LAPD told me that it was Nipsey Hussle that had been shot, my spirit said, oh, that's what it was, because I already knew it.
How does it feel to know your son was so loved?
It's amazing. It's amazing because they feel about my son the way I felt about my son. And truth is always true. And light always overcomes the dark. Be the light. Be the light of change that you want to see.
Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Our top story tonight, you are looking live at the Crenshaw District where the LAPD has just cleared the streets, ending an extraordinary day-long celebration of Nipsey Hussle's life. Hundreds blocked the intersection of 39th and Crenshaw. That's in front of the Angelus Funeral Home. Hussle's procession ended tonight. LAPD asking people to leave, and they did. An hour earlier, there was dancing in the streets, people ending the day of celebration on the streets of Crenshaw. LAPD standing back, giving people plenty of space.
Well, from downtown to Watts to Inglewood to Crenshaw, thousands came out for the procession. 25 miles of people paying their respects and showing their love for the slain rapper, businessman, and community leader.
And there was a brief scare and brief panic at Hustle's store in Hyde Park. People rushing barricades after hearing a loud sound. It was not gunfire, and no one was seriously injured.
Just thank you for allowing us to gather. Thank you for all of these beautiful people that have come together in unity to celebrate the life of Brother Nipsey.
He was a voice. He was a brilliant mind and the Spirit of God.
Would it be the same if I saw you in heaven?
All of the events today following the celebration of Nipsey Hussle's life and career that began this morning with a sold-out memorial service at Staples Center. Well, tonight, Nipsey Hussle's remains lie near his neighborhood in the Crenshaw district.
His casket will remain there at the Angeles Funeral Home on Crenshaw until tomorrow's private burial. We have a team of reporters tonight covering all angles of today's massive tribute to Nipsey Hussle. We begin with Tom Waite at the funeral home.
And Jeff, as you said, that funeral home just behind me. A little earlier tonight, a lot of activity here, but very quiet now. The crowd has dispersed. Again, just a huge celebration and tribute to Nipsey Hussle. The LAPD had to shut down the celebration tonight outside the funeral home where Nipsey Hussle's body had arrived several hours earlier. Police formed skirmish lines to clear everyone out. Everyone stayed peaceful. As Hussle's body arrived at the funeral home, the crowd went wild, an electric celebration of his life. Tens of thousands came out to say goodbye to a man who made it his life to lift up other people. And that was the extraordinary thing about today. So many people coming out to just live in that moment, to really just say goodbye. This man, Nipsey Hussle, of course, did so much for the community. That's why people loved him so much. He helped employ them. He helped bring them up when they were down. Tonight, Crenshaw 39th, cleared out. Everything is peaceful. People now just sort of left to their thoughts and saying goodbye to Hussle. Reporting live, I'm Tom Waite. Back to you in the studio.
What's your take on it, cuz?
Man, the funeral, first and foremost, the way they treated the king was a great send off, you know. I didn't totally agree with everything about the funeral. I felt as though it should have been some more Crips in there. I thought it should have been some more people that he grew up in there. Because, you know, I was in LA and a lot of people that, you know, he grew up with, that he was close to, you know, they kind of got pushed away. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, a lot of people who was from the neighborhood Rolling 60. Shout out to the neighborhood Rolling 60.
Shout out to the brothers.
Shout out. They wasn't there.
A developing story right now. Former O.J. Simpson prosecutor Chris Darden is no longer defending the man accused in the murder of Nipsey Hussle. The suspect, Eric Holder, was back in court today. The judge announced that she granted Darden's request to withdraw from the case and appointed a public defender. Holder is charged with shooting and killing Nipsey Hussle in March. 2 other people also were hurt. Holder's being held on $5 million bail. He is expected back in court next month.
The nigga who killed Nipsey, his shit was documented?
What was documented? What do you mean?
Remember the guy who killed Nipsey Hussle?
He's not a snitch.
Oh, he was never a snitch?
Never. Ain't
so
no paperwork
what's
on
the
him.
narrative going around that he's snitch?
I don't know. That's what y'all talking about. Some paperwork on him? You seen it?
That's what I'm saying.
You seen it?
So why they call?
Have you seen?
Why they?
I mean,
that
that was allegedly brought up. That they can allegedly say what they want to say,
You
but
see
is
how
there
it's
any
sort of
paperwork?
politics?
There's no politics. Where's the paperwork? Just because a motherfucker, let me ask you something. Do you think a motherfucker didn't call somebody a snitch or call somebody a rapist or call somebody some shit and they was totally wrong about it? And that wasn't the case? Are you saying that everybody that's said to be that's true? There's never been no paperwork on this man. Who's to say that Nipsey didn't make a mistake?
Yo, Wack, you heard in my
You
head
do
with
know there's more than one shitty from that neighborhood, right? Who's to say that maybe he was on point about the name, but wrong about the individual? Who's to say? But we know that individual ain't never no paperwork surface. That's what we do know. So,
and a lot of people don't know. I didn't know that.
of course you don't know that because you're going off of this.
But that's what I'm saying. The world don't know that.
It ain't for the world to know.
Yo, Wack, let me ask a regular.
They're gonna know when that trial start. If they're gonna know a whole lot of shit when that trial starts.
Let me tell you this.
A whole lot of
Wack,
shit.
Let me tell you.
And in my discussion of it, I pointed toward the headlines that reported when Neighborhood Nip, the Keyway Christ, has so tragically lost his life. The alleged person who did it was allegedly on the run, scrambling, law enforcement, street, everybody was looking for him. If y'all remember, if y'all recall. However, in that period of time, up until he turned himself in to wherever he turned himself in, I can recall reports of 3 of his family members that had lost their life, apparently were murdered. And anyone with a half a brain would probably like say, hey, somebody trying to flush this dude out.
I'm Big U niece.
Big U, all right, I ain't never met you, but I know exactly who he is. Yeah.
I don't know what part of the conversation y'all in, but I'm gonna give y'all this much, right? This is what I can give you, and I ain't gonna give you a lot, right? But what I will say is, if you out of the Crenshaw Slauson area and you know how Eric is, I'm gonna just be real. BK shit, he been a shooter. He been having mental problems. He been a crazy motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? It's just a fucked up situation that happened, and I've always had the conversation with Nip. You either gonna have one foot in music, you can't have one foot in music and one foot in gangbanging. You gotta decide what you want to do. And I really just wish my bro would have just stuck to that music shit and left that other shit alone. Cause I mean, truth be told, he was being pulled every which way. Every homie wanted a verse, and everybody wanted.
That was a graduated
His friend.
gangbanger.
Everybody
Well,
wanted to be
Mike,
his
let him
friend, and he
finish.
was just a private person. And it's just unfortunate what happened, but I will definitely tell you, shit, he been having problems. Been knowing a nigga since Horse Man. He been retarded. Shit. That's all I can say. No, I got family that was in jail with Shitty before he got out, before the whole Nip situation, the unfortunate situation. He was never on a PC yard. He was never. I honestly believe, and it's just me, and it's maybe a conspiracy theory, but I think someone put that in Nip head to ask him that question when it wasn't true.
I thought you said you needed 2. You don't need no 2. Shit,
And tonight, prosecutors are sharing new details about the final moments of rapper Nipsey Hussle's life.
Yeah, they say Hussle told Eric Holder the word on the street was that he was a snitch. Then Holder opened fire. KCAL9's Randy Page has newly released grand jury testimony.
Eric Holder, seen here in court, was indicted by a criminal grand jury for the murder of popular rap artist Nipsey Hussle. We now know what led the grand jury to indict him through this 512-page transcript of grand jury testimony. It begins with Prosecutor John McKinney's opening statement to the jury as he details the testimony they will hear from the prosecution's star witness, identified only as witness number 1, Eric Holder's girlfriend, who was behind the wheel of his car as the two of them pulled into a South LA strip mall where Nipsey Hussle was standing talking to friends on the afternoon of March 31st. Mr. Holder got out of the car, immediately walked up to the group where Mr. Hussle was, and then had a conversation, the prosecutor told the grand jury. That conversation is important because that conversation has something to do with Nipsey Hussle accusing Mr. Holder of snitching, which in the gang world is a very serious offense. The prosecutor went on to say Holder's girlfriend will testify she took a photograph with Nipsey Hussle and she drove Holder away from the strip mall. After they drove off, Mr. Holder pulled out a gun, told witness number 1 to drive around the block. Witness number 1 drove Mr. Holder around the block, also told him to put the gun away, the prosecutor said. She was concerned that he might shoot her accidentally or shoot somebody from her car. He then told her to pull over at a certain location near the strip mall, and he told her to wait there. He'd be right back. He walked off, back toward the parking lot, where he then walked up to within a couple of feet of Nipsey Hussle and fired multiple rounds into him from 2 different guns.
Let me ask you broadly, how many separate gunshot wounds did Mr. Asghedom suffer? He suffered 11 total gunshot wounds. Okay, and does that mean that 11 different projectiles struck his body? Not necessarily. In some cases, a bullet will pass through one part of the body, exit, then re-enter the body in a different location. Even though those would be 2 separate gunshot wounds, they could be from the same bullet. In your opinion, in this case, or do you have an opinion whether or not the 11 wounds that you noted were inflicted by 11 different projectiles or not? I think it's possible for them to be inflicted by 11 projectiles. However, there is one particular injury that is in a location where it's possible to have also re-entered the body, but I cannot be sure about that. Okay, is it correct to say that your opinion is he suffered at least 10 separate gunshot wounds, with one possible wound being the result of a bullet that struck one location on his body, then grazed another? Yes. So we're looking at 10 separate gunshot wounds? At least. All right, can you walk us through them quickly? Yes, so the first one would be gunshot wound number 1. That one is actually diagrammed on a separate diagram to the head. To talk about that gunshot wound, that was a gunshot wound that only went through the scalp and did not enter into the skull or the brain. Let's show you that now since you're talking about gunshot wound 1. Sure. I'm showing you grand jury exhibit number 36, coroner's diagram number 22, gunshot wound number 1. Yes. Okay, so the entrance wound was to the posterior top of the scalp, right there, and exited to the left side of there. Again, it did not penetrate into the skull or the brain. And if I could go to the next one, let me ask you a question. When you're counting the gunshot wounds, you're only counting when the bullet goes in, not when the bullet goes out? Well, if they are connected pathway where it goes in and out, they would be contiguous. So that would be the whole of the gunshot wound. I see. Thank you. Go ahead. So although there's 2 holes to the head, you're counting this as one gunshot wound? Correct. And then when it's labeled, it would be gunshot wound 1 entrance, gunshot wound 1 exit.
Eric Holder's defense attorney tried to keep this transcript secret, saying it could violate his client's right to a free trial by tainting the jury pool. But the judge said he didn't think so. In fact, he said, and I'm quoting him now, "We live in a society that is moving away from the printed page." And in fact, he said, if the prosecutors just keep a lid on the video evidence in this case, the judge thought it wouldn't be any problem. In downtown Los Angeles, Randy Page, KCAL 9 News.
Here to accept the 2019 BET Humanitarian Award on behalf of Ermias Nipsey Hussle, the Great Asghedom, are Lauren London, Angelique Boutte-Smith, Margaret Boutte, and Samantha Smith.
Everything has been said about my grandson that could be said. I was so amazed at how much love was out in the world for him that you uplifted me. I accepted his life as God said to me, Nipsey, you've done your job. You've left your mark. I'm welcoming you into heaven so you can rest. And I love him with all my heart and soul. Thank you so much, world, for loving him too.
We just want to thank you guys for all the love and support, and the marathon continues again.
I am a Queen Mother, and I represent African people. And I just want to know, why they didn't show me at the crime scene. My conversation went something like this to the officer. What happened? Someone was shot. Who? Nipsey Hussle. My spirit said, oh, that's it. That's why I was finished processing my son's assassination. I said, where was he shot? He pointed right there. I looked at his car. I saw a crescent shape of his personal belongings with a space between his vehicle, and it was peaceful. I saw no blood there. I said, is he dead? He said, the paramedics took him to California Hospital, I think. I said, will you please double check with the paramedics to make sure so that I do not drive to the wrong location? When he went to do that, one of Ermias's close friends was very traumatized. I walked over to him and put my hands on his shoulder, and I told him, Evan, look into my eyes, Evan. I said, you know that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, right, Evan? You understand that, right? So even though our bodies die, as they call it, on this side of eternity, our spirits live. We lift out of this vessel, and we continue on. And then I felt a spirit of retribution and revenge when I had my hands on his shoulder, and I had to talk. And I was 100% present in the spirit and 100% absent in the body until I felt that spirit of retribution and revenge. And then I started talking to Evan, and I don't even know what words I used because I was very frightened then. That frightened me. I cannot remember what I said, but I could tell that I had chased those spirits away from him. So I walked back to the yellow tape, and the officer greeted me, and he said, yes, that's the right hospital. And I told him, thank you very much, officer. And I looked at his badge, Resurrection. And when I walked away, there was a woman running down the alley behind the Fat Burger. She was heavy busted and looked like her breasts were going to make her tumble over. It's broken asphalt, you know. And she was just in grief. She was just grief. I told her, hey, wait, what are you doing? Stop. Look at me, okay? I'm his mother. Get yourself together. I need you to help me get my car out of this parking space, okay? Ermias and I held the same space. I did not sleep for 2 weeks leading up to his assassination. I did not sleep at all Saturday night. I went to sleep at 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Lauren told me that Ermias held the same space. He celebrated my godson's birthday, which was March the 31st. He came home and he was organizing things like women do when they're about to give birth. We nest. We start cleaning up things, you see. So Ermias was nesting because his spirit, his baby spirit, was about to be born. Thank you.
That was weird to me. You know, for a crime scene, what was weird for me is I didn't see blood. I didn't see any signs. There was people walking all through the crime scene. And I'm like, how is this a crime scene if you have people walking through the evidence?
I said, where was he shot? He pointed right there. I looked at his car. I saw a crescent shape of his personal belongings with a space between his vehicle, and it was peaceful. I saw no blood there. I saw no blood there. I saw no blood there.
waiting on? You got to tell us what you waiting on.
Justice for Nip.
But your boy would have been there like, yeah, you got it.
So look, since your big silly ass playing, my nigga, this on me, my nigga. Nigga finna make a story. Nah, nigga. I'm into this film shit and this directing and everything though, nigga. Nah, nigga. With the information that I got from yo homies, nigga, we about to make a story, nigga, on how you niggas chip Nip, nigga, and played that other nigga to shoot him, my nigga. Any of you niggas, nigga, especially you, Big U, nigga, that's who I want to run that fade with, nigga. Sucker ass nigga.
Everybody know Big U and Nipsey had an argument, homie. Everybody know Big U was shaking Nipsey Hussle down, making him pay protection fee, sorta. Everybody know that's Big U and Whack 100 game over there, homie. To protection fee. Nipsey Hussle got smart and say, nigga, I don't want to pay you $20,000 a month no more, nigga. And Nipsey Hussle come up dead. He lost his protection. And the hood killed him. We all know this, homie. Just like everybody know the Nation of Islam killed Biggie. Just like everybody know who killed Tupac. So come on, homie. Everybody know the Rolling 60s. Man, everybody know they killed that nigga, homie. And then they went and killed some innocent people from the nigga's family. You see what I'm saying? Man, fuck them niggas, homie. Man, Big U wasn't shit till Nipsey Hussle died. Let me just say that, homie. Wasn't nobody screaming Big U till he had to get the little homie out the way. It was Nip, Nip, Nip. It wasn't you, Big U. And then Big U the nigga in the hood, on the set. He the big homie on the set. Well, once Nipsey Hussle started rapping and he pull up with that Hollywood bitch Lauren London, Big U ain't shit in the hood when Nip come through the hood. The little homies ain't looking at Big U, they looking at Nip, cuz. When Nip pull up in that Rolls Royce and that platinum Jag, looking with all that chain on, Big U and them bummy. Who you think the little homies looking want to be like, homie? So now they had to get rid of that nigga. Yeah, Nip was getting bigger than the set, cuz. And don't nobody get bigger than the set is what I was told. So they killed that nigga.